Welcome back to Ferris Sports Update. Time to talk Bulldog hockey, and with us, head coach Bob Daniels. And Coach, first of all, welcome back to the show.
Good to be here, Rob. Thanks.
It's been a while since we talked to you back at the end of the first semester, and certainly you got a little bit of time off, but a busy stretch here for the Bulldogs as you had an extended road trip and then back to play a tough series this past weekend.
Yeah, it was. We jumped right back into it. I think we took 9 days from the end of the first semester right to Christmas Day. And then we had the guys come back and we practiced that day. And then that was the start, a second half, if you will. And we played in the Great Lakes Invitational. We played 2 games there and then went to Alaska. So basically we had a 15-day road trip where we played, within that time for 13 days, we played 6 games. And that was pretty grueling and pretty testing time of the season, just in terms of travel and distances. And we were really glad to be home this last weekend, and so we've jumped right back into it here in the second half.
Before we talk about this past weekend, talk about the Great Lakes Invitational that you mentioned, what that meant for Ferris State to be a part of that for the first time in the 50-year history.
Sure. You know, it was great to be there, and over the years, Rob, we haven't been able to be into that tournament from the standpoint we were in the same conference as Michigan State. They're 2 of the co-hosts along with Michigan Tech. And they didn't want to run a holiday tournament where you're bringing 3 teams from the same conference, and there's not much of a tournament then. It's more of conference play. Under the conference realignment now, it opened up the opportunity for us to be involved, and what a great experience it was. It was, all that we had hoped to be at Joe Louis Arena down in Detroit, and great crowds, and we were well represented there by our fans. I thought our fans brought a lot of energy to the games, and a terrific experience for the kids.
As we go to the highlights this past weekend, you come back home after that trip to Alaska and you draw the #1 team in the country, Minnesota State, and certainly the fans came out this past weekend to watch some great hockey.
Yeah, well, we lost both games, Rob, but boy, we played well, and the fans were good. We pretty much sold out both games. You'll see here the very first game, they score early, and I was a little nervous. They are the #1 team in the country. They're having a terrific season, but we're not too far away, Rob, and at this point here, it's a pretty even game. I thought actually the whole weekend the hockey was terrific, and it was really, really close. And C.J. Mott was really spectacular in that, but you know what, Minnesota State had good goaltending as well.
C.J. Mott, you mentioned him, one of the Hobie Baker nominees again this season, has been solid for you in net all season.
Yeah, he has. And on the second goal here, we actually deflected off of one of our own sticks. If people could get a chance, they won't to see it again, but we actually deflected that right into our own goal. Here late in the third, we get to within 2-1, and from this point on, we really carried the play. And we pulled our goaltender at the end, had a couple of really good opportunities, and I give our kids a lot of credit for sticking with us through the entire game.
You mentioned here before we went on the air, certainly some chances here down the stretch. Went right to the final seconds ticking off.
Yeah, it did, and we're going to see here in the highlights, Rob. By the way, that was a great play by Zach Dorr to dive and keep it at 2-1. And then obviously they're showing the empty net right here, but we have a couple of really good opportunities to score. We had it down in their end late. Here's one of them. Goalie just got his right toe on that shot. We'll have a couple more coming up. So really, we felt good after this night, and how we played. We're disappointed that we didn't get the win, but we certainly fought right to the very end. Even here with this is interesting with like you can see 5 seconds to go, we get a great chance. There's 2 seconds, and it's not in the highlights, but we won that face-off and had another chance in the last 2. So we felt when we walked out of there that even though we didn't come away with any points, we certainly played the equal to Minnesota State in that night.
Yeah, great crowd on hand, as we mentioned. Near sellout on Friday night. Saturday night, you come back after a 2-1 loss, and there is a sellout in the building. Talk about the environment on Saturday night.
Yeah, it was great. Both, we couldn't ask for anything more coming off the road. We had 6 straight games away from Aviglabe, and it was great to be home. It was great to be in our own time zone and playing. It's a 4-hour time difference from Alaska, and we've been really nursing a lot of injuries, and we haven't had to go to a depleted roster, but boy, I tell you, I can't say enough about our fans and the lift they gave our team this past weekend.
As we go to Saturday's highlights, a little bit different. Minnesota State got the quick start on Friday night, but you guys got a quick goal from Kyle Schemp again on Saturday night.
Yeah, well, that's Kyle's 3rd goal in the last 4 games. He's starting to heat up, and he's playing very well for us. And not only him, but Matt Robertson. And, it's starting to come together. Even right here, you can see C.J. Mott made a big save early on. Now we get the turnover, and we attack. You can see CJ going hard to the net, and it's a really nice goal for us. A nice play by Gerald Mayhew. And eventually we're going to relinquish the lead, but it won't be till about 10 minutes to go in the game, and I think that's probably the next highlight that pops up here. Nope, there'll be some others, but it won't be till late in the game, and we took a really ill-advised 5-minute major, and it was late in the game, and they scored, and then from there we had a hard time holding on to the lead.
We'll see them take a major penalty as well, a hard-fought physical series between the two teams.
Yeah, it is, and right here, this is in the first we score again, and the ref lost sight of the puck. He thought the goalie had it covered. He blew the whistle prior to us scoring, and that would have made a big difference. You can see here the puck's really never covered up. Sean O'Rourke puts it in the net, but it was too late. The ref had already deemed that the play was dead. So, and you'll see throughout the highlights we had really great chances to extend the lead beyond one, and we needed that. Later on in the second we had a breakaway that's not in the highlights. Here's a play where they took a 5-minute major, and should we have scored, we just needed to extend that lead beyond one.
You mentioned Sean O'Rourke a little bit ago, Simone Denis, a couple guys that started on defense that have kind of moved up to forward with some of the injuries.
Yeah, and it's interesting with Simone Denis, he looks very comfortable playing defense for us, but we moved him up to the forward position to try to get a better scoring punch, and he's delivered since he's been out there, and I'm not sure if when we get healthy we're going to return him to defense. He's looked that good at forward. Sean O'Rourke has been primarily a defenseman in his career, but we've used him off and on to play defense. Now, here again, now we relinquished the lead to 3-1, but again, we stayed with this throughout the entire game. Late in the game here, we pulled the goalie again, and we had numerous opportunities. Sometimes the puck luck's just not on your side, but there's a great chance at a half empty net. Just couldn't convert.
Come up a little bit short here against a very good Minnesota State team, and you get a bye this week, but you draw Minnesota State again the following week as you make the return trip to Mankato.
Yeah, it's an interesting quirk in our schedule this year. We play Minnesota State 4 straight times and Bowling Green 4 straight. Minnesota State's #1 in the country. Bowling Green, I believe, is #5 in the country. So we've got 8 games that we've really got to buckle down and try to come up with some points, because right now we find ourselves 4th in the standings, and that's the last home ice spot. So we want to continue to stay in the home ice with the hope that, obviously it'll make the playoffs that much more of an easy journey for us.
Well, Coach, thanks again for being with us, and enjoy the week off here. I know it'll be busy for you, but best of luck as you go back to Minnesota State next week.
Thank you, Rob.
We'll be back with more Ferris Sports Update right after this.